admire immensely. And I think this is one of the most appreciable intellects we have. And sometimes he's more of a jovial bloke, and he has the soft side too with that dog book, which wiped me out, Sprite. But I'm just talking about pound for pound smarts. This guy's in the WBA, WBC top one. His latest book is Liberty and Tyranny, a conservative manifesto, and it is drawing the crowds. Mark Levin. Mark, welcome to the show.
Dennis Miller, it's a great honor, my friend. How are you?
I'm fine. What a thrill for you to show up. I felt so good for you because I don't think you're a self-aggrandizing man. Indeed, you almost seem reticent in the public sometimes. Yeah. 7,000 people show up. Were you flabbergasted?
And I walk into the mall. You know, you're used to standing ovations.
Not from 7,000 people, pal.
Well, I walk into the Barnes & Noble and through the mall, and they're wrapped around the mall, and they're giving me an ovation as if I'm running for president.
Oh,
you know,
Mark,
just
I'm
wonderful
happy.
people.
I'm happy for you, my friend, because there's some, listen, all performers in public have some moves that are more pro wrestling. Or look, I think Limbaugh's brilliant at doing radio, and some of it's carnival barker stuff. But he believes what he believes. But to see a guy like you, and I never see you anywhere. Nope. I thought, God, what a great feeling for that man to see that his beliefs have been vindicated. And I have to give you kudos on Men in Black. I really thought that was the best thing I've ever read on the Supreme Court. What did you clerk there, or what's your interest?
First of all, I have to come on this show more often. You are you're embarrassing me. But
well, you can write your tookus off, baby.
Yeah, well, no, I was an intern there when I was in college, and I was an intern in the Chief Justice's office for Warren Burger. And to be honest with you, as much as I liked being an intern, it was so confining. Mm-hmm. The environment was so cloistered, I could barely stand it. I don't know how people can even be judges, I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's really, oddly enough, judgmental. It's
yes.
Hey, I want to talk to you about the Reagan Goldwater speech. Now, I went back and I read a few months ago Glorious Disaster about the Goldwater thing. I'm sort of fascinated by Barry Goldwater. I had no idea when Reagan ticks off some of his strong points. God, what a man Barry Goldwater was, wasn't he? I mean, they hit him with the one commercial, and that's gonna be his tipping point for the rest of time, is the nuclear commercial with the Daisy. But that story about him picking up soldiers in LAX and flying them home wiped me out.
He really was a rugged individualist, you know. And his history is amazing. His history in Arizona, his family's history. They came here from Poland and so forth. And he knew he was going to get slaughtered. He knew that the stars had aligned against him. You know, he was planning on running against John Kennedy, and then that tragedy occurred. And he knew he was going to be undermined even by most of his own party, but he wanted to set the stage for a comeback of at least some basic conservative principles, and that's exactly what he did. He was a really, really remarkable guy. I don't think he finished college,
yes.
But just a bright guy.
And, you know, there always has to be somebody's going to climb over somebody's shoulder blades over the parapet at the Bastille. But somebody's got to be the one, like in Paths of Glory, where they tell the guys in the trench, listen, we want to get the anthill. You go get shot first so we can hide behind your body. I think of Goldwater as that. And then you look at the shock troops coming in after. And I have to tell you, I am blown away by Reagan's ability to speak. I was not on that side of it for a long time. And I my extent with Reagan is Edmund Morris's thing, which I think was a bit fictionalized. The speech is amazing. It is amazing. Tell us the high points for you.
Well, you know, I actually played that. I've played that speech, all of it, in different chunks about every 6 months, because I feel that there's so many people out there who feel that all is lost. And all is not lost. As a matter of fact, our principles, while we debate them, our basic principles are the only principles that work. They're the principles that have been tested throughout humanity. Mm-hmm. So have the principles of the other side, and they have failed throughout humanity. And Reagan understood this, and Reagan had a way of encapsulating these things and talking to people in plain English. And he was almost a John Wayne figure in some respects, too. And people wanted to follow him, and he had a confidence about him. But you know, if you listen to that speech, he talks about socialism. He doesn't make any bones about it, that these folks are promoting a socialist agenda. He's talking about welfare. He's hitting all those issues that are very, very important if you're a conservative, or even if you're not a conservative.
Right. Just if you're a pragmatist.
Yes, you reject this smothering, massive authoritarian government mentality.
Right. With minimal rancor, too,
Mark. Able to tap that.
With minimal rancor, I noted in the speech.
Yeah, unlike me. But then again, I'm not running for president.
He constantly refers to them as our well-intentioned opposition. I mean, I was touched by that. I thought, boy, this guy's not looking for a firefight here. He's looking to espouse his beliefs. We're talking to Mark Levin, and he is the author of the hottest book in the country, Liberty and Tyranny, a Conservative Manifesto. When I think of Mark, I place him in my Founding Fathers Last Supper scene, I think of him as the John Adams guy, a little bit cantankerous, a little bit cranky, but more of my persuasion than even Thomas Jefferson. Like I love our Founding Fathers, but I always love Adams a special place. Tell me, Mark, the book it's obviously connected with the people. There are people out there who are a dry sponge looking for somebody who's not to be mocked, and you are not to be trifled with, to espouse what they believe and then be able to hold their own turf. Right?
Well, you're very kind. I think people are projecting different things onto this book. My goal, I was going to write this book earlier, but as you point out, my dog died. I'm a big dog guy, and so I wrote another book, which is completely different than this book. And then I got around to this book, and I said, all right, what do I want to do here? So I decided to go all the way back and test my own principles, my own philosophy. Why am I who I am? Why do I think the way I do? Mm-hmm. And why doesn't the other side think the way we do? And that's what I do. I tackle in this book. And then through it, I'm trying to build confidence in these principles. Dennis, if we don't stand up now for a constitutional republic, then when are we going to do it? If we don't stand up now to somebody who says things that are so alien to a free market or should I say a freer market system, then when are we going to do it? Do we always have to compromise with the extreme viewpoint? We can get to the point of compromise, but let's at least tell the American people who we are and what we stand for and give it a fair shot rather than muddying up the water all the time.
Well, I think you've got the eloquent boilerplate out there, Mark, right now. And I will tell you, if somebody doesn't wake up in 2010 and at least send a message, hey, we're sending in somebody to watch over this just a little, I don't think it happens for another 45 years until another... when I heard Reagan speak, I thought, God, what an eloquent, genial bloke this guy is. No wonder he cut a swath. That doesn't come along very frequently. I thought George Bush was a good man. I don't think anybody could have elaborated less on what he was doing right. And that wasn't domestic stuff, but foreign stuff. I thought he did everything right, and nobody defended it more ineloquently in an odd way. And I don't mean his speech patterns. I just mean he was reticent to talk about it, it seemed to me.
Listen, I support this war because I think the opposite is disastrous.
Yes, me too.
And of course, I supported the president in this thing, and many things he did, and I opposed him on many of the things that he did. But he's not a Reagan, and that's understandable. They come along few and far between. But we're not going to get a Reagan if we keep rejecting our core principles. Now, I'm not Trotsky. I'm not saying you either agree with me 100% or off with your head. What I'm saying is, can we at least start with some basic principles, and we can all debate within that sphere.
Yes.
But if we're going to reject capitalism flat out, or we're going to reject federalism flat out, which is what Obama does, if we're going to reject representative government, keep shoving decision making into the courts and into the bureaucracy, I think we have to pick a fight with these people and fight them hard on these things.
All right. Well, listen, folks, on my right in the shelf in front of me, I have Mark Stein's America Alone. It's something about the water. And Mark, guys, this is the New England primer, the pragmatic disposition of conservatism as it lays. Mark Levin's Liberty and Tyranny, a Conservative Manifesto. Could not recommend a book more highly. And I believe this is a good man. I'm not trying to fake like I know Mark all that well. I hope to break bread with him sometime in the future. But when you read how whip-smart this book is, how whip-smart Supreme Court book is, and in between, I'm telling you, is one of the most touching odes to a man's best friend I've ever read. This is a man in full, and I'm enamored of him. Mark Levin, we appreciate your time today.
Well, you're terrific. You're a prince. I appreciate it. It was my honor.